Good morning, guys. So, today I want to talk about a concept that I've been thinking about a lot that I don't know if I've ever actually heard articulated this way. I know I can think of some other ways I've heard it, or some other ways it's familiar, um, but it's this thing that I've been thinking a lot about, especially doing these video projects and the journey I've been taking doing these, and even the life shift. Even though it's been less than 2 weeks, it's life changing, actually, in the truest sense of the word. It's hard to see, I guess, the tangible results, but I know I feel a lot, and I know if I continue on this path, the the place I'm going to end up is far greater than I could imagine. Um, so this concept I've been thinking of, and I'm even sharing it a lot and trying to language it better because it's still very rough. Um, but this concept is that I really believe life is correlated, or our happiness has a direct correlation with how much we push through our own fear. I want to get better languaging around it, but in essence, I really believe the more in our lives that we face fear, feel it, and move through it anyways, has a direct correlation to our happiness. Because I really believe, I've heard this before, I really believe that fear is actually the messenger. That if you change your viewpoint of fear, and instead of looking at it as I'm afraid of this thing, let fear be the guide to actually go down the path. Meaning, anytime you encounter fear, that is the time you should actually push through, because that is the direction we want to go. I think too often we look at a lot of our emotions as frivolous, especially if they're ones that we don't enjoy, that make us uncomfortable. We look at them as in almost like we wish they didn't exist, like sadness or fear, or we almost want to eliminate them, like wipe them clean. If we had a magic wand, that's what we would want to do. Where instead, I actually believe these are powerful emotions that are guiding us to the path that we should be on, actually. Because fear, I think fear in particular, is omnipresent. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think it's always going to be there, because if you're doing things that are new or challenging, there's inevitably going to be some amount of fear. And I believe it is because of exactly what I'm talking about. Is if we change our concept of it, of like, oh, why am I always afraid whenever I do a new thing, or whenever I'm doing something that challenges me to grow, and we look at it of like, no, of course it's there, because it is the signal everyone's looking for. Everyone's looking for, give me a sign, tell me I'm on the right path. Fear is that sign. Think about it for a second. Fear is the signal you're looking for. So embrace it. Understand that fear at the core of your being is what's telling you to go after that thing. And by going for it, by pushing through that fear, by overcoming your own challenges, your own insecurities, your own self-doubt, your own self-criticism, and as you go through it, as you do the action that you're afraid of, you're instantly rewarded, even if the thing fails. The fact that you tried builds self-confidence, builds self-discipline, builds self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. Your promises to yourself have weight. You develop this relationship with you that I can get through anything. And that fear doesn't stop me. Fear tells me the direction I should head. And so this is something I've been thinking lots about as I've been making these videos, because doing these in the morning, doing these small challenges, going after my fears, and then using this momentum and then creating breakthroughs on such big fears, like the video where I shared the eight poisons in my soul that I'm hanging on to, that I was most afraid to share. Those things don't scare me anymore because I got them out. And too often we're hanging on to all of this garbage and bullshit. And why? So let fear be that barometer. And just like anything, you're not going to jump in to the level 20 fear and try to hit that head on if you're inexperienced facing level 1. So just take it a small step at a time. What is something today, or as you go throughout your day and you find you don't want to do something out of fear, what are those little things that you can nah, you know what? Even though I'm afraid, even though I want to stand still, even though I want to freeze, I'm going to push a little and get past that. And then let those small wins elevate you. Let those small wins gather momentum. So now we can do 2, 3, 4, maybe level 5. And as you build this, and as you go about each day, learning, growing, pushing past those fears, and often is the case, what I believe is the case and what I've experienced is the case, is once you move beyond the fear, once you move through the fear, you realize it wasn't really that big of a deal anyways. That most of the fears we create in our own mind, most of the fears are actually not life or death. Most of the things we're afraid of doing are not going to impact our survival. They might impact how you're afraid of judgment, you're afraid of relationships, but very few examples, I think, you would be hard-pressed to find are actually life or death. Yet, often we're putting the fear to that level. It is paralyzing because we fear some amount of life or death situation. And so it's we need to bring that into context and in perspective, and again, start chipping away. Do these little fears. What's a little thing that you've been wanting to change for a while that you can just push through and set yourself up for success? I've talked about in some other videos, I'll quickly rehash here. There's some really good tactics. Number 1, you can do first thing in the morning when you're most fresh, after any kind of morning routine or coffee, whatever. Get to that point where you feel at 100%, right? So sometimes in the morning, we're still kind of rising up to that level. Wherever that is for you, that's when you should tackle something big. Eat the frog, which is to say, do the hard thing in the morning because you're going to push through it. You're going to have the most willpower and discipline at that time. And then you're going to feel the effects all day of having accomplished that one thing. Even if you get nothing else done for the rest of the day, you'll feel great because you accomplished and pushed through something you've been holding on to, something that's been keeping you stuck. Perspective is another, is your fear as big as you think it is? Is it really that scary? Right? I think we often blow things out of proportion. So can we get perspective? Can we think of someone else? Can we think of the rest of the world and people facing starvation and slavery? So are our fears and our problems really that big? Probably not. And so use that, harness that. Let that be a tool that you know what? It's actually not that big of a deal. I'm just going to do it. And it might be uncomfortable. It might feel weird. I might get all sweaty and nervous and whatever. But I'm just going to get through it. And then see what happens. Experiment. That's what this whole life is about, is experimenting, learning, going through the journey, playing the game. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye.